Hey everybody, we are going to kick off this analysis by watching this short video clip right here. But before I hit play, I want to warn you, there is swearing in this clip and also throughout my analysis. And there's a lot of sexually explicit language, no pictures, but a lot of this case revolves around sexual assault and rape as well as murder. This is true crime, and if you have a problem hearing about that stuff, again, this video is probably just not a good one for you. With that being said, let me quickly introduce who you're looking at. The woman on the couch here, that is Jennifer Soto. She is the mother of Madeline Soto. Madeline Soto was murdered overnight between February 25th going into February 26th of 2024. And the man that you're going to see, that I'm going to put a picture of during this video, is Stephan Sterns. That is Jennifer Soto's boyfriend, and that is the man who of rape, sexual assault, and the murder of Madeline Soto. So let me show you the video, and then I'll introduce this whole thing a little bit better.
You guys showed me the photos.
So we showed you photos of Stephan raping?
No, I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay.
I showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a blowjob to a grown-ass man, and we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. A blowjob is rape. Your first reaction is to protect Stephan. You were shown pictures of this. You were shown pictures of her body in his car with a seatbelt on. You know Stephan's been raping her.
I know. When you guys showed me the picture of her, I believed the sexual stuff, but I didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like, no, what if he did this stuff fine? I believed his whole story.
Did I hear that right? Did she say she was fine with it? She was fine with her daughter being raped and sexually assaulted? That she was afraid that something evil had happened to her? Yeah. What I'm going to do is take a couple of these questions and I am going to analyze them using deception detection techniques that I've mastered over the course of my career. Most likely, these are going to be techniques that you've never seen before, unless you follow my channel in which you've seen all of them. This interrogator here is one of the best, if not the best, interrogator that I've seen practicing in real life. And that says a lot. If you've seen my videos, I don't think I've ever said that I've seen a good interrogator before. He is clearly trained in the Reed interrogation basic and advanced course. He gets a ton of great information by asking good questions, and he continues to follow up. And what starts as Jennifer Soto's deception, which is clear the first time he asked her, the second time he asked her, she's under more stress. And then when he asks a third time, indicators are just pouring out of her. In this video, it's like I recorded a 4-hour documentary and I am just going to give you the car chases. Okay, I'm going to clip out all of the storyline and just give you the action parts. That means you're not going to get a good explanation of why my deception indicators indicate deception. You're just going to have to believe me that they work. If you want to understand all of the deception indicators that I use, how and why I use them, when I use them, what their statistical probability of accuracy is, I'm going to put out videos following this one that are lengthy videos that I'm going to turn into the beginning videos of my deception detection and interrogation course. The three things that I'm going to show you using indicators during this interview/interrogation. First, Jennifer Soto confesses to being involved in this. Second, this interview takes place before Madeline Soto's body was found, and she tells you where the body is. She also tells you when exactly the body was put there. The third thing that we're going to cover is that Jennifer Soto had knowledge of what was happening to Madeline Soto, the sexual assault and the rape. And she tells you exactly when she found out, and she tells you exactly what she did about it. You can have the best interrogator get all of the information, but if someone like me doesn't have a chance to look at it right after the interrogation, in this case, within 3 days, I would have been able to tell them where the body is, when it was put there, who put it there, and exactly who knows what and when. And keep in mind, Jennifer Soto has not been charged, and the police have said that they have no intention of following up any investigation or bringing any charges against Jennifer Soto. Let's start off by looking at a clip of Jennifer Soto confessing that she's involved.
That he was trying to log into
He's trying to log into his emails on his phone. I think at this point, when I noticed that forensics was locking down the house and you guys said we couldn't come back, I told him to call his dad because I had a feeling y'all knew something and it was going to come down on him.
The first principle of deception detection is simply to listen to what people are saying. It's important to understand that your brain has a separate section for language. It's called the Broca section. That section of your brain is not the frontal cortex. It analyzes your thoughts and assigns words to them based on the definition of those words. That is the reason why you can only think in truth. If you want to lie, you have to edit what you're saying. The first fundamental thing that we need to do is just look at the words that they're choosing, because some words people don't know that they need to change those words. What is the definition to know something, or that I knew something? When somebody says I knew something, I don't mean to sound condescending or patronizing here, but it is important to look at the words that subconscious part of your brain select. If you're talking to your significant other, if you say, I suspect that you went out last night, you're telling them that you don't know if they did or not, but you believe that they did. If you say, I know you went out last night, there's no ambiguity in that statement. In the longer video, I'm going to show you when she uses the phrase at this point, that is called the deception tag. You're about to get a big lie. You're about to get a big lie. So she says, I think at this point, when I noticed that forensics was locking down the house. Now, at this point, in her mind, she's trying to edit. There's something that she doesn't want to tell you right here. And while she's speaking, she's trying to edit that statement. So she's going to spill some verbiage here while she's consciously thinking about something else. She says, when I noticed that forensics was locking down the house and you guys said that we couldn't come back, she's thinking about this phone call with Stephan Sterns' father. She says, I told him to call his dad because I had a feeling y'all knew something. And she continues to talk and was going to come down on him. And I'm just like, they're focusing on the wrong person. Okay, I had a feeling that y'all knew something. If forensic knows something, it's very different than if they suspect something. An innocent, truthful person who's sitting there at this moment would say, I had a feeling they were locking down the house because they found something completely unrelated that made them suspect something. Because if you didn't have involvement, then you can't fathom why they would be doing that. And you have to speculate. Like, for example, my wife had to take an at-home blood test for something, and she had to prick her finger. And I told her, before you do that, you have to spin your hand around in a big circular motion to get the blood into your fingertips, because I do something similar. And she had just pricked her finger, and she's like, oh, okay. And she starts flinging her hand around, and there's a nice blood splatter trail that went down our wall. And I looked at her and I was like, great. You see this blood splatter? There better not be anything that happens in this house anytime in the near future, because that looks suspicious as hell. So that's the kind of stupid stuff you're going to be thinking about if you're a truthful, innocent person, thinking, why are they locking down the house? What do they think they got? What are they suspecting? When she says, I had a feeling that you were shutting down the house because you knew something. To know it means that she is aware that there is physical evidence in the house. And the only way that she can be aware of it is if she was involved in it. She has to be aware of the details of the crime in order to be aware of the information that they could find. So this is the first example. Let's take a look at the second video here.
How do you feel when you say you need the lawyer?
He didn't believe me. Like, when I told him, when Don't You See Forensics is closing down the house, they fucking know something, or there's something, like, they know something. Something's happening. They wouldn't be locking down the house this way.
One thing I say continuously is that the statement has to scream deception. If you find one indicator amongst an entire statement of truthful statements, that indicator is probably that person's brain searching or thinking of something that they weren't sure of its veracity in that moment. And so it can cause a stray indicator to go into a statement. If somebody is being deceptive, it's going to scream deception. So because she said that, it doesn't surprise me that she's going to say something like that. Again, here's a different question. How did he feel when you say he needs a lawyer? This is a continuation of the last one. She says, he didn't believe me. And she says that in a question.
How do you feel when you say you need the lawyer?
He didn't believe me.
So when somebody says that as a question, it means they don't believe what they're saying. Actually, look at this clip right here to reinforce this point.
We did a massive experiment in our lab where we had people play two truths and a lie with us. Overwhelmingly, one of the biggest patterns, there's a couple of different patterns, but one of the biggest ones was that liars asked their lie statement. Liars typically accidentally use the question inflection. A question inflection is when we go up at the end of our sentence. So it sounds like we're asking a question, even if we're actually using a statement.
Okay, so you see that what she says as a question means it's deceptive. Like when I tell him, don't you see forensics is closing down the house? They fucking know something. Or there's something like they know something. She's actually pulling from a memory here because this is direct and this is straightforward. And you get an inflection of emotion here. When she says they fucking know something, she is panicking. Now, when somebody says, I was panicking in this moment, that's deceptive. We'll see stuff like that later. But when the emotion comes through in the verbiage, it's an indicator of truthfulness. So at this point, she is beginning to panic. And she's telling you that she was telling Stephan at that moment that they know something, and she repeats it. She says 3 times in here, they know something. She doesn't say they suspect something. She doesn't say they found something random, irrelevant to this, and now we're going to get locked out of our house. An innocent person is going to be thinking, why are they doing this? What do they think they found? You're going to have a lot of questions. This emotion, this verbiage, this restatement of the thing that is the most prevalent on her mind, if they found something, she knows that they could both be going to jail. That's what she's worried about. She doesn't realize that the word know is not the same as the word suspect. She also doesn't understand that the emotion that she should be feeling in that moment as a truthful, innocent person is different than the emotion that she's expressing. And so this stuff leaks out. She tells you that she knows in that moment, before anyone's been arrested, before Madeline Soto's body has been found, Jennifer Soto is still telling police that Madeline is missing. This is the confession. When I see the words, that's all I need to know. All right, so having seen the confession here, let's move on and take a look at a video here. Then we're going to analyze it, and I'm going to show you that Jennifer Soto knows exactly when and where Madeline Soto's body is hid in that moment. Because remember, at this point, Madeline Soto's body has not been recovered yet.
Later on, he tells me he's going to go back out, and I think this is around 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Still on Monday?
Yes, still
Okay.
Monday. 12:30 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He tells me he's going to go back out. He's going to stop at a few gaming shops, and then he'll meet me at the house at 2:30 so we can get together. He left at the house for a while. I was waiting for 2:30 to roll around. 2:30 rolls around, and I'm already calling Stephan, and he's not picking up his phone. 2:30 comes, I leave. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call.
Okay.
8 hours later.
So what you just saw there is one of the silliest things that us as human beings do when we're being interrogated or interviewed under pressure, which is called time stamping. That is not something that we do normally when we're talking in conversations to our friends or coworkers. We don't timestamp everything that we do. So why do we do that in an interview? Well, it's because we're under pressure, and there are certain things that we are trying to do. For example, we want to give ourselves an alibi. We want to let the interrogator know or trick the interrogator into believing that we were at a certain place at a certain time. And so we start time stamping things. The only thing that a timestamp really means is that that specific time is really important to the person saying it. So let me see if I can clarify this for you. I'm just going to give you a brief lesson here just so that it's not so out of the blue. When a person timestamps something, it means that that thing is important. So we need to figure out why they are stamping it. Once I have a clean transcript, first thing I do is I go through and I just look, I scan for times, and I will highlight those in red, as you can see on this document here. That is called a timestamp. And the reason why I'm looking for that is because those times are very important to the person who said them. There are, for the purposes of this video, 3 reasons why somebody would timestamp something. The first being, well, that's the beginning and that's the end of the statement. Don't ask me before this time, don't ask me after this time, because this is the statement right here. That's a timestamp at the beginning, and at the end, we expect that. However, that does actually help us because one of the things we're looking for is called a change of language. And so the first timestamp is usually accurate. So it maybe it's truthful, and because it's usually verifiable. Now, other than the beginning and the end of a statement, a timestamp is usually going to be an alibi statement or the time of the crime. If it's not the time of the crime, it's that person saying, I want you to know that I was here in this location doing this particular thing at this particular time. Knowing that, I'm going to show you what I was looking at before I analyze this statement, this document right here. So I got home around 10:30 p.m. This is Sunday night. This makes sense. That is verifiable information based on her phone records. So we know that this is a truthful statement. And notice she says around 10:30 p.m. When I say we're looking for a change in language, I'm saying we want to see how she normally presents information and then if she deviates from that. So now we have one example of a truthful statement around 10:30. The next time she says that she sent them to get ready for bed. So get ready because it was already almost 11 o'clock. Again, almost is one of those general statements. It wasn't 11 o'clock. It was almost 11 o'clock. It was around 10:30. I think that that's a truthful statement based on the way that she explained time in the previous stamp. Then she says, I went to sleep. I was awoken up at some time. For the longest time, you don't need a whole lot of deception detection training to know that when a person overgeneralizes something, it's because they don't want you to know. When my wife asked me who I went to lunch with today, and I say, oh, we went to Burger King, they ordered just fries, I ordered, the they in there that's not gender specific is gender overly general, and it's because you're covering something up. This is very similar. When she says at some time, it means she doesn't want you to know when she woke up. Then she says, I've been saying he woke me up at 8. However, she was caught in that lie. Now we have a sample of a lie from Jennifer Soto when she's talking about time. And notice this one isn't broad. It's not around a certain time. This one is very specific. She says at 8. So now we have a sample of what it looks like when she's truthful and what it looks like when she's lying. Then she goes on to say, I slept, I think, until 9 in the morning. Ooh, 9. That is an exact time. She also explains that when she woke up, the sun had just come up. I looked that up, and the sun rose on that day in that city at 6:53 a.m. So we have actual conflicting information, but again, she gave an exact time, and we can see that, again, that's a lie. So now we have multiple examples of when she's saying around a certain time, that's truthful. When she says an exact time, that's a lie. Now she says, I finished there sometime between 11:15, 11:15. She's talking about an appointment Monday morning. So that's truthful. The only question now we got to ask ourselves, why? Why is she giving herself an alibi timestamp for that time? So we'll make a note of that. Now, I want you to see what I see. When you look at this, I see this next paragraph, and I don't even need to read it. I can tell you right here there was a crime that happened. Because look at the times that we have. We have 12:30 to 1, 12:30 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we have a double timestamp on a truthful time. It's a range of time, and it's double stamped. Double stamping something means extreme sensitivity. That means either that's an alibi statement where that's a lie, because they're saying they were one place when they were actually someplace else, or that's the time of the crime. Normally that would be the murder, but in this particular situation, she is the accomplice. So everything that she does to help Stephan Sterns get away with the murder is Jennifer Soto's crime, allegedly. So the part that she's going to be super sensitive about as being her crime is going to have to do with dumping the body. Once the body is dumped, then her part of this is over. The crime is over at that point. And so here we have a double stamp on what looks to me, without reading it, like either the crime or because the next one that we have is 2:30, 2:30, 2:30, 2:30. So damn, I'm going to say the crime started somewhere between 12:30 and 1 and ended at 2:30. So let's look at this. Let's actually read this and see what we're looking at here. So she says, he's going to go back out. She's talking about Stephan Sterns. And I think this is around 12:31. And then the interrogator says Monday, and she says, yes, still Monday. Now, she doesn't repeat herself because she was interrupted. She repeats and rephrases. She says, still Monday, 12:30 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So she double stamps this. And because she's talking about Stephan Sterns leaving, that indicates to me this is the beginning of the crime in her mind. Then she says, he tells me he's going to go back out. He's going to stop at a few gaming shops. That's the rehearsed statement there. And then he'll meet me at the house at 2. So and then this part cuts out, so I couldn't tell exactly what he said. Something about can pick up Madeline together. He left the house for a while. Then there's a missing I. There's a missing pronoun from this next statement, which is a huge indicator. Was waiting for 2:30. Ooh, bam, double stamped. To roll around. 2:30 rolls around. Oh, triple stamp. And I'm already calling Stephan and he's not picking up his phone. 2:30 comes. Quadruple stamped. I leave about 10 minutes later. I get a phone call. Okay, the time that Stephan left until the time he came back is the time in Jennifer Soto's mind that the body was dumped. That is, in her mind, what the crime is, and therefore that this is the time that it happened. This is all the timestamps in the entire statement. So let's look at the rest of these. At 4:04, the bell rings. 4:10, she's still not out, or 4:09. And then at this point, so she gives us a running timestamp here for the 4:04, 4:10, 4:09. Most likely something else. There was another crime that happened here. And then the last timestamp that we have is getting in when they got to the hotel. She says it was 3:30, 3:45 in the morning, and I fell asleep. Stephan was already asleep at this point. We find out later he was not asleep. He drove to North Point, which was 2.5 hours away. He went to a storage unit there, did some stuff, and then drove back. And so this is timestamped. That was another part of the crime right here. So timestamping is almost always directly related to the crime. And when you see 3 or 4 timestamps, I can tell you right here, this is where the main event of the crime happened. And the main event, of course, was dumping the body.